Yeah, I heard you guys were getting a heat wave down there.
Yeah. It's like I think tomorrow, when I'm reading the heat index, is going to be like 104 degrees.
Sweet Lord. uh, well, actually, the west of us, on the west side of Wisconsin, they're supposed to be getting hit pretty hard too. So,
Hmm.
but here we're only going to be in the 80s, I think, and the heat index won't be that high. So I'm fine with that. We do get our fair share of hot weather though.
Hmm.
It's more so been humid with all the sheer amount of rain we've been getting here. Um, I was out yesterday and mosquitoes were like the size of trucks. It's like
Oof.
I mean they're everywhere, man. It's kind of scary. Uh, so so I caught your stream, man. That was cool. That creepy channel crawl. I
Uh, yeah, thanks. It was interesting because last year I actually had Cecil and with Cecil Fuego and Susie from the horror show.
Sure.
They actually came to my channel,
Oh, nice.
and that was nice of them to do that. And so I decided, let me just going to do something different and have people who weren't in the crawl last year come on my channel. And I think what I'll do next year, I'll probably won't host. I'll probably, if there's a smaller channel that um, wants to host, and I'll guest on their channel.
Sure. Oh
Hmm.
yeah, that'll be cool. A little different. You don't have quite the so much of the pressure, if you will, for hosting. Because I don't think people realize to host something like that, to create something. At least I think to create something that will stay interesting, how much you actually have to concentrate.
Yeah, because I'm busy trying to come up with questions, and then of course I always like to do a test stream just to make sure we don't have any issues. Because
Yep.
I'm pretty sure I don't know if Dr. Wolfler, I don't know if he did or he didn't make sure that he would be able to do his animation,
Right.
what
Hmm.
you call them, and also have Haley on the live stream at the same time as well. I think he should have did that first, but I guess he didn't. I guess he didn't test it out.
Yeah, it sounded like he didn't normally have experience with a lot of streaming. So,
Hmm.
um,
Well, he's done live streams before, but never with guests on. But with
right.
me, if I'm going to do something that I haven't done before, I want to make sure that it works, so that way when the stream comes, I won't run into any issues. Now, of course, you're always going to have the usual buffing issues or something like
Hmm.
that because of YouTube's nature or your internet provider. But doing something like that, you want to make sure that you are prepared. So that's what I did, especially with Jenna because that was her first time live streaming.
Oh, okay,
So I
sure,
want
yeah.
to I want to make sure she first of all she was comfortable
Hmm.
and to make sure that she didn't have problem audio wise and no video wise too.
Yeah, I usually try to make sure. That's why send the invite ahead of time, just in case we run into technical issues. We had a good couple recordings with Skype and me using the streaming software OBS for recording it. So I may be doing that going forward once August rolls around in a couple weeks here in Hangouts.
Oh yeah, because Gory she actually sent a nice um, tutorial about how
Yep.
to use Streamlab OBS. Because that's
Hmm.
something I want to use, and when I start doing more live streams, because I want to
Sure.
have a nice background set up in the background, and just have certain pieces of a live feed coming in with that in the background and the chat feature as well. So
Right.
hopefully once I have some free time, I'll be able to sit down and start doing some experiments. So that way I could just use OBS and not rely on. Not saying that because I know Google Hangouts is going away. I don't know if Google is changing it or YouTube is changing it as far as Google Hangouts.
Well, it's Google. They want you to use the YouTube. They totally annihilate are going away from Hangouts because they've got a different solution. They want people to start using as far as streaming goes, like a business one. They're like going for one support. So
Hmm.
YouTube's got its own thing with webcam. I'm not sure with that. I might play with that just a little just to see what that is. Supposedly, it's very similar to Hangouts. So I guess we'll have to
You talking
see.
about that where you click on the go live thing on YouTube?
Well, there's a link. Yeah, there's a link. that actually keeps popping up every time we do a hangout now that it says youtube.com/webcam is
Hmm.
apparently what they're moving to. And yeah, you could do a live link that way. It looks like they want to try to move away from doing the or pre-event stuff or whatnot. I'm not sure. I gotta play with it next 2 weeks here. And but the Skype stuff, do you have Skype? You
Yeah, I've
use
got, yeah.
yeah. I'm gonna see how many of my crew members have Skype, and we may going forward use that along with OBS and see how that works. So
Hmm.
I might not even I don't know about the live streaming yet. I do a little bit of editing and such, but if I want, I've been kind of itching to get back into live stream. I've got a Twitch channel, but I haven't done anything with it.
Yeah, because I have a Twitch
So,
channel too, but it's I haven't done anything on.
oh, good. I don't feel too bad.
Yeah, no. One of the problems is my controller's broke. I got to get a new controller because, like, I was playing Batman Arkham Knight,
Yeah,
and unfortunately he keeps ducking down all the time. And I was like, okay, that's not good. So when I tried it on my other games,
yeah,
the same problem is it's like, I said now I get a new controller. So
sure.
so I really haven't used Twitch at all. Yeah, because I was going to ask you because I was going to ask you since when I was going into after the crawl was
Sure.
get you on my channel. We could do a live stream together.
Yeah, I'd be down for that. I'm
Hmm.
always up to talking movies, and sure, yeah, if anything, have me be a guinea pig. I'm all for being a guinea pig, so
Hmm.
I don't I don't mind at all.
It was funny because I watched Tarantula. Was it 3 days ago?
Yeah.
Just to get me up to speed of the movie because
Hmm.
it's been a long while since I've seen it.
Sure.
And my wife Kelly comes down. She says, "What the f are you watching? What's that fucking big ass?"
Uh,
I said, this is research for my podcast I got to do because I haven't seen the movie in God knows when,
yeah.
and I got to say I keep my abreast upon it. He says, "You watch some weird." He said, "You watch some weird shit." I said, "You should see my mother when I was watching this movie. When I first saw Tarantula for the first time, she's like, Monty, what the hell are you watching now?"
No, well, usually with the stuff I watch, if not watching on my computer, if I'm watching it upstairs, my wife will come in, look, just shake her head and walk away.
Uh-huh.
She doesn't even
Now
say,
it's weird because my wife Kelly is not into horror.
sure.
So we went to go see Crawl. No, we went to go see Crawl. Now,
Yeah.
at first, she didn't think about wanting to see it because she's not into horror. But then she said, "You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and see it," and she wound up loving it. She
Oh,
said, "I'm
that's
glad I went to go."
awesome.
Yeah, she said, "I'm glad I actually went to go see it." She actually started pulling for the dog.
Yeah, well, everybody I talked to, I mean, I thought it was just okay. There were just some things I could not get past. I tried and I couldn't. But
Hmm.
I think the one consensus from everybody is thank God the dog survived because there were so many people saying, man, if the dog died, I would have been pissed. Never mind the people.
I think because someone who said this.
Hmm.
I watched somebody's review.
Yeah.
I don't know. Was it? I think it was John the horror hack. I think he
Hmm.
might have said it. No, no one John. It was somebody else said that one of the things he couldn't get into. No, it was Cody
Hmm.
Leach. I saw his review on it and the injuries that they suffered.
See, and that was me too. It was like I was enjoying the entertainment. The problem I had was this film, in parts, with especially with the daddy daughter stuff, was taking
Hmm.
itself a little too seriously. So
Oh
when,
yeah, yeah. Because I mentioned that in my reviews. We
yeah,
got this, the family tragedy situation that appears in these type of movies. They always got some type of conflict that they have to resolve, and we have
right,
this little small bonding moment. But I kind of put that away because it made me actually care for the characters even more. Despite that, I said, "Oh no, here we go again." But I think maybe because of the performances of Kayla Scudero and
hmm,
Barry Pepper, because they were so good in their roles, it actually made me start caring for them.
well, and that was the thing. I guess for me, for this type of film, I don't want necessarily that seriousness because then the
Mm,
other things come into play, like the injuries. I'm like, it,
mm,
it these got to be some slack jawed gators
mm.
because the pounds per square inch that I remember in biology class, her shoulder should have been annihilated. I mean, her chest and shoulder should have just been like she wouldn't have been able to use shit with it, you know. I know she was a swimmer and in good shape, but that, and then the gator just swimming past them when they're bleeding out in her leg and in her arm, and her
Mm.
dad's all bleeding out, and yet they stood there quietly, not splashing, and the gator flew. I'm like, the gator would have smelled blood and went, "Oh, lunch," you
Yeah,
know?
no, because I don't know gator behavior,
Yeah,
so I can't attest to that. Because I say I wonder if that's true. If you don't splash, the gator's not going to attack you because
I don't know.
you're in his element, and I don't know if gators smell blood like sharks do,
Right.
or like
And
sharks do. So I know
and
only like I know Vicky, the Nightmare Mary. She could probably
mhm.
answer that question better than I could.
And again, I might be off, but I'm just sitting there going, the way they painted these gators so aggressively, I'm just like, but parts of it I loved. I loved the action sequences and some of that. But for me, it was taking itself too seriously in parts for me to try to get past that. And I tried, I really did.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end, I'm just like, well, I kind of wish it had been more goofy, over the top, all the way through, like Piranha 3D. You know, where you didn't have any serious mommy daughter. No, screw that. Okay, we get that little 2 minute, and then let's not revisit it. Let's just keep with them trying to escape from the gator action. And the only other thing that ran across my head is, this is Florida. They've got swampland, and the only critters that would be swimming about in this water would be the gators. Where are the water moccasins? Where are the snakes? I'm like sitting here going, where are the massive amount of bugs?
I said I kind of that kind of I gazed at a bit because
Yeah.
I said to myself, I'm pretty sure alligators are not the only thing. But I said, no, I'm not going to overthink it. I'm not going to
I,
overthink
and I was trying not to, but I think the serious bits, because like you said, the performances were great. They were too good for a film like this, to the point of they were grounding it a little too much. So then other questions started to come into play. So,
it.
like the gator that bites her hand and then she shoots it, which was kind of cool, but then she's just beat up, and the injuries. Yeah, I agree. The injuries, I'm a Die Hard fan. I love Die Hard, but
Mm.
these injuries even would have John McClane going, "Yeah, no, man, you should be you should be."
I know because other the only other picture that reminded me of injuries was Revenge.
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know, because I'm saying to
Mhm.
myself, there's simply no way in the world she should still be alive. I mean, she got stabbed. I mean, even worse than the injuries in Crawl. I mean,
Yeah.
she literally had a branch stuck right in her midsection right there.
Hmm.
There's no way in the world she should be alive. She just had bled out. I mean, she
But
was unconscious for, I don't know, for how long. And she should have bled out. There's no way in which she should be alive. And then the second part is when she decides to cauterize her wound, which is good, but there's no way she should have survived that as well. And then all of a sudden, now the symbol on the can, which is a
yeah.
phoenix of all things, is now all brazen on her midsection.
Yeah, yeah.
I said that's a little bit ridiculous. It's like, yeah, but it was, but I just took over symbolism.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's totally for the symbolism. But I mean, we've get that in other films too. Like when we did our discussion on Cloverfield, I was like,
Mm.
you know, she's got rebar through her body. She no, she doesn't get up and get to survive to the survival play. No, she's dead. But I mean, so we do run into that. But I don't know what it was with Crawl. I mean, I honestly think it was just the performances were so good that it ended up grounding the movie for me. And
Mm.
let's face it, I know people make dumb decisions in horror films, but these are cops in Florida, and they don't think about animals in the water before they just jump in out of the boat into the water.
I'm assuming that that thought did not come across to me at all.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm assuming that they were not aware of the levees that broke because I'm pretty
Sure.
sure, in real life situation, if they knew that there were gators in the area, they would have prepared themselves better for it. But I'm
Yeah.
assuming they probably didn't know that gators are in the
But
water.
but
You
But
know.
also, though, they set it up early with just a very brief sign of Gator Farm nearby. I'm just like,
Oh, that
I
that
don't
is
know.
true.
I just, if I were the cop, I mean, though they did paint the one guy, a cop, as kind of like a Dewey from Scream.
Hmm.
He wasn't the most competent law enforcement official in the small town. So,
Oh, he had a thing for Haley's sister. So.
yeah, he did have a thing for the sister too, so he was kind of blinded by that. But
Hmm.
yeah, but I enjoyed the action sequences in that, and I'm like that stuff was cool. But just for me, but I'm glad there's so many people enjoying it. That's cool. That's not a supernatural horror film. You know,
Hmm.
it's nice to see something other than a ghost story at the theater get some major talk and some positive feet.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Paramount did not screen. They did first didn't screen it for critics,
Yeah.
and other than a few trailers, they really did not promote this movie.
No, they didn't push it much at all, but
Mm.
it's doing well, so I guess that's something, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So all right, so I don't want to keep you too long today, but because I know you're probably a very busy man, but yeah, we'll get rolling here on Tarantula. So let me just
Okay.
make sure I got the page up here and alrighty then. And welcome, my friends, once again to the spoiler room. We are fresh off of the creepy channel crawl of 2019, where the lovely folks at Horror Addicts put together a great event, 28 hours of streaming horror episodes. If you haven't checked it out, make sure you do. I'll put a link in the body of the description for this. And with me tonight to talk about more insect movies, we're talking about Tarantula from 1955. It is none other than the horror miser himself, Monty G. Hello, Lamont. How are you, sir?
I'm doing fine once again. Yes, the crawl was another great year of success for the crawl. Once again, did help my channel out once again, and I want to once again thank all my guests that appeared on my channel. Jenna from the Horror to Horror, Jen and Christian from Jen's Reviews and the Graves, and Daryl from Mr. Meat Hook.
Yeah, you had a great panel, and it was a really interesting discussion. Old school horror versus modern horror, and I like that. I liked some of the films that came up with it, and yeah, we ended up being the closing act of the list, hour 28, with Mr. Andrew Shearer, who I
Hmm.
appreciate coming on talking sci-fi horror. But there were a lot of great topics, and I hope people who are listening to this check that out because there were a lot of great channels and stuff going on, even with a little bit of technical difficulty. But treat a live stream kind of like live TV, where anything can and probably will
Yeah, yeah,
happen.
yeah, it can and will go wrong.
So, but tonight we are, or this afternoon, I should say, where we're recording this is Tarantula 1955. Now, Mr. Lamont, would you like to give our listeners the synopsis of Tarantula?
Okay, when a spider escapes from an isolated Arizona desert laboratory experimenting on gigantism, I think I pronounced it right,
Mhm.
and grows to its enormous size, it wreaks havoc on the local inhabitants in the small town.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is.
Yep,
It's pretty
it's pretty much
straightforward.
what it was too.
We're talking 1955, so this is a year after Godzilla. So the big monster craze is out there, and in fact, Godzilla King of the Monsters, I think, came out this same year as the American version. But big monsters was becoming this hot thing quickly, and Tarantula was one of the early ones, brought to us by the director Jack Arnold, who I think directed Creature of the Black Lagoon. From the Black Lagoon as well. He's not a stranger to this type of film. And yeah, Lamont, what are your general initial thoughts with Tarantula? What do you think of this film?
Well, it came out at the time when I was, really discovered horror as a child. I
Mhm.
might have been maybe 9 or 10 years old when I first saw it on Doctor Shots or one of the creature feature horror shows that would air during the afternoon on a Saturday afternoon. And I saw a little preview of it. I said, "Wow, this looks interesting. Wow, look, a giant spider." Because to me, it's like it's funny. I
Mhm.
can't wait to see it because I don't know if I might have seen Godzilla before or after, but I know I've seen a lot of horror movies in the 50s, and was always whether it was the Amazing Colossal Man or the
Mhm.
Amazing Shrinking Man. whether it was any other of these man or animals, big monster films coming back after the time. So it piqued my interest. So I thought it was pretty interesting to see a giant spider film. As a
Yeah.
matter of fact, it might have been the first giant spider film I've seen.
Oh, nice. I think it
Mm,
was I think it was my first giant spider film to watch as well. When I saw it again, I saw it the same way you did. I saw it on a horror host on Shock Theater on Channel
mm.
18 in Milwaukee when I was a kid. Back when we had independent TV channels that showed just about anything. And yeah, I remember watching it and I thought, for an old film, because I was, young when I saw it, I'm like, this isn't too bad, actually. I was digging the monster, the giant spider at all. And yeah, we'll get right to the title character. It is the 50s, and my son sat down and watched it, and he was dropping a lot of snark and commentary, but he will admit that he actually didn't mind the special effects. Lamont, what do you think of the special effects? I mean, for 55, we're just busting into this type of genre big time. And how'd you feel about the giant tarantula?
Well, I had to, because as a kid, I didn't know anything about practical effects. I said, wow, that because the only thing as a child, I said, wow, that probably looks phony.
Yeah.
And then my mother told me, well, they just probably have miniatures because I didn't know anything about miniatures or anything like that. But going back and looking at the time period, that you have to give them credit for the effects that they did do. Whether they did use miniatures and that was just an average spider just on miniatures and all I did was just make it move to where it wanted to go. So you got to give them credit for what they did and how they did the special effects and how they made the bones appear on the ground. So you got to give them credit for what they did at that particular time period.
Right. I mean, because to give people perspective, I mean, some of this stuff was stuff that hadn't been tried too well,
Mm,
too many times beforehand. So this is them kind of drifting in a different territory. I like the special effects. It surprised me, especially when they had the big spider roaming the desert landscape. You could
yes.
actually see the shadow of the spider on the ground. You didn't really have too many matte lines to where you could tell that it was like inserted on live action. So yeah, the blending of the live action, they knew what they had and they didn't overdo it. And
Hmm.
outside of a few shots, I think, it blends pretty good, especially for 55. I'll tell you what worked more for me than the big tarantula walking around the landscape as it happens like halfway through the film is before that when we get to see the doctor who's doing the experiments that
Oh, him,
ended up
yes.
causing the spider. There's a scene where our doctor is doing these secret experiments with this nutrient because their subject is overpopulation, which they underestimated what the population would be in 2000.
Yeah, I know. That was kind of funny when I was laughing at talking about the year we're in right now. I says, you're way off on that one.
Yeah, yeah. When we hit 2000, there'll be 2,253,000, people. And I'm like, dude, or 2 billion, 350 million people. I'm like, dude, you're way off.
Yeah.
try
People,
try more
I
like
said,
five at that time.
yeah, it's like, whoa. But I'm assuming, I don't know where they got their figures from, but I'm assuming someone just someone had to make that up.
They just threw some numbers together. They kind of looked
Mm,
at current birth rate and they're like, oh, here you go. But that scientist, his lab, he's got a number of other experiments. We don't just get a giant spider in here. He's got a giant guinea pig and a giant rat. And when he's doing his charts and you actually have them in their cages, I thought that lab scene looked really good for what they
oh
had on
yeah.
screen.
Yeah, I think what it did was it made the viewer easy to understand what was happening without having to do a whole big exposition dump.
Right. Yeah, you
Mm,
didn't and it looked good. I mean, he's standing in front of this cage with a supposedly supersized guinea pig, and it looks like they've got a big guinea pig in a cage. I'm like,
hmm.
whoever, the cinematographer on this, they did a great job, I think, of playing with forced perspective and other things in this film that had to be a blast to see for the first time on the big screen in 55. Could you imagine?
Oh yeah, yeah. Because most of the time, what I do now when I watch some of these, when I have to watch some of these old horror pictures,
Mm-hmm.
and I imagine myself watching this back in the '50s and not now, and just imagine how the people reacted when they first saw these movies. And I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure they were truly amazed. It's just like when I tell people when I went to go, now I snuck to go see The Exorcist when
Sure.
I first saw The Exorcist and how all those people were lined up to go see it, and you have to understand no one saw anything like The Exorcist. So just
Mm-hmm.
like how people reacted to seeing Tarantula in the '50s, they had that same type of reaction when they saw The Exorcist in the '70s because you never saw anything like this before. So people probably sketched out.
Some people, especially people who, there's so many people out there that are afraid of spiders.
Oh
So
yeah.
I'm sure this, though, it's the 50s, so the monster is literally on the poster. I mean, there's no mystery of, you know, mysterious how's it gonna look like they play with some monster films. He's right up there, up front and center.
Hmm.
It's called Tarantula, so it's no secret there's a big spider in it, but yeah, I mean, I liked the special effects, all of them, pretty much. I was digging for a 55 film. I'm like, yeah, this had to be crazy, especially as a young kid to see this on a matinee. Like, I mean, that'd just be one that you'd be talking to your friends about at school the next day. Like, holy crap, there's a big spider, man. It was cool. Spider Man? You mean no, no, not that Spider Man? No, just kidding. No, I don't think that Spider Man was out yet.
No,
No,
no. It
but
was several years later before they actually had Spider-Man. But yeah,
yeah.
I can imagine kids that went to go see this picture and went to the other friends and says, "Yeah, man, you should have seen this is a big behind spider, or this big spider came on the screen."
Now, one thing I didn't remember until I watched with this opening scene in Tarantula was the mutant people in it. I had
Hmm.
forgotten about that because you always usually focus on the spider, and it's been years since I watched this. Shout out to Dawn. She couldn't be on the episode today, but she suggested this one, and I was glad she did because it opens with this kind of Neanderthal mutant looking guy, and you're just like, wait, wasn't this called Tarantula?
No, I actually did. I actually remembered.
Mhm.
I remember. I think the guy was because there was two of them. One was called Jack, and I can't remember the other one guy's
The
name
other
because
one was Paul or Peter, I
yeah,
think it
because I
was. Yeah.
remember Jack, but I didn't remember Paul because I know
Hmm.
there were three mutant guys. You had the doctor, and then you had the first guy, but I forgot about the second guy. But I
Yeah.
remember him because that's right. Because I first watched it, I'm looking at the guy. I said, "That's right, I remember this scene." Yeah, but then I said, "Oh, I forgot about this guy."
Yeah, the second guy, because the first guy dies out in the desert and they find him, and that's where we get introduced to Mr. Suave, doctor, small town, good looking Mr. Square Jaw, all American
Yeah.
doctor, and then the inept, sheriff. And, we get introduced to our basically Mayberry RFD characters. Uh,
It's so funny how when you see these films back then and how people got cast their roles.
yeah,
Everyone, you had the lead actor. He had this square jaw and he's handsome looking, and it's like I say, well, for a minute, because John Agar, I think he's the lead
yeah, John
actor.
Agar. Yep.
Yeah, and I think he actually starred in a couple of films with John Wayne. If I looked at his IMDb page, I think he
Hmm.
actually did a couple of films, and it's like, oh, he's just trying to imitate John Wayne.
Oh yeah, yeah. He was in Big Jake at least, and I think
Mm,
Fort Apache. So
mm.
yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. He was kind of emulating John Wayne in a way.
And then John Wayne away, but but that's what they did with leading men in Hollywood back in the day. And another thing is, in these films back in the '50s, man, they really smoked cigarettes in the film.
Everybody was smoking
It
cigarettes, man.
was.
And then when we get who we'll talk about in a little bit, our the female, the actress, main actress in this film. I mean, they
Mm.
kept offering her a cigarette. No, not now. You know what? I'll take that cigarette now. But yeah, it's like, wow, really? I understand the time, but wow, yeah, everybody was smoking, man, like a freaking chimney. Um, so, One of the things I did like though is you mentioned the second mutant guy who is still alive, but he trashes the doctor's lab,
Mm,
which is how the big spider escapes. I
mm,
kind of liked it because at first I thought he was going to kill the doctor. Again, I didn't remember much of it since I hadn't watched it since I was a kid,
uh,
but he does it. He injects him with this serum that caused his condition, and I thought that was kind of an interesting approach to take. What'd you think of that? I mean, rather than just outright killing the guy like you might expect because he's in this rage.
well, it's I guess for him, he wanted him to suffer just like he suffered, because
Hmm.
I don't know if they knew that the nutrition would have that particular type of side effects in humans. Now, I don't know if they decided to rush and test humans first
I
or
think I
not.
th- I think that's what it was. Is the old doctor wanted to take his time, and the two guys who were mutants wanted to get it on them right away and try it on humans, and that's how they got that way. But
Mm,
according to him,
yeah.
according to the old doctor, now you're right. Maybe they didn't want to rush it, but old doctor wanted to and took that opportunity to make them his guinea pigs.
Hmm.
But then he became a victim of his own experiment, which I kind of liked. I like the makeup effects on those
Oh
guys.
yeah, yeah. You got to give them credit with the practical effects, the makeup effects they have. Because I even said that when I first watched it. It's like, wow, that's pretty good for an old movie. The good practical effects. I says, wow. I was impressed then.
Old dude got a melty face. Basically, his face starts getting all droopy, and you're like, "Oh, that's pretty cool." And then even later on, when the spider comes back and attacks their house, I thought they did a good job. It almost looked like this spider was attacking the house, and
No, yeah, he did
uh,
a good job of. It looks like what they did was they had this house and they had some type of picture of the spider, on the windows, which was probably just some type of a film
right.
of a spider, and that they did a pretty good job of making it look like the spider was at the house.
Yeah, they did a great job of that. Though the thing is with the spider too, though, I you look at the poster and they got it high detailed. We only really get the silhouette ever of the
Yeah.
spider. So, they knew better than trying to show all the detail on it, unless it was close up, in which case we get some pretty creepy puppeteer going on
Hmm.
when you get the close up munching shots with him, with the spider wanting to take a bite out of people. Uh, Now, you've seen Tremors, right?
Yes.
Does Tremors, doesn't it, when you're watching this a little bit, does it feel like Tremors kind of maybe got some inspiration from Tarantula with this film?
Well,
Uh,
yeah. When people saw Tremors, the first thing I said to myself, "Wow, this reminds me of the creature features from the '50s,"
right.
and people looked at me like they didn't know what I was talking about. Because it was like I said, you don't remember watching Tarantula or the praying mantis or Attack of the Snow Crabs? You
Yeah.
still don't know what I'm talking about. You guys don't watch. You guys don't watch. That's right. You guys don't watch horror movies, or you didn't watch creature features back in the day. Yeah, but that's the inspiration I think that Tremors got this from.
Mhm.
Maybe some aspects of Tarantula, maybe some aspects of the Gila monster,
Mhm.
or some aspects of the praying mantis. As a matter of fact, I think this is similar to the praying mantis.
Yeah, it it
Mm.
it does hit that kind of same formula, though. Back then they were really cranking these out, so it doesn't
Oh yeah, they
surprise me.
were.
They kind of just followed the same formula.
Hmm.
Now, what I thought was interesting is we do have, and I'm putting it in quotes, folks, because this is 1955, so we have to put in context of the film. A quote strong female character in the form of Stephanie Clayton, or as they refer to her, Steve,
Eve.
because we can't call the female by her name. No, no, she's got to have a nickname that also masculine masculizes her because she's going to be going for her doctorate. So that's why she shows up to go work with the old man. But what did you think of the Steve character? I mean, for 55, did you think maybe this was a little bit stronger of a female character than what we've seen?
Oh yeah, I actually was impressed because because that's one thing I forgot about. I knew she was in the film, but
Right.
I forgot that she was actually going for a doctorate. And I said, "Wow, I'm actually impressed," because we normally don't get that in these type of films. They're normally are the damsel in distress. She does scream like
She
most of these girls. scream, when she sees the spider. But for the fact that she was a scientist, she was going for a bachelor. She actually knew what she was doing. I like the
Mhm.
scene between her and the doctor when they were messing with the isotope and messing with the nutrients. I mean,
Mhm.
she knew what she was doing, so I was impressed because you normally did not see that at all doing these type of movies. Normally, they were cute, pretty. What do you call them, damsels
Right. Yep.
back then. That's normally who they got cast. They were always in the damsel distress. They always got hurt, or they always got captured by the monster. And the leading man had to go and save them.
Yeah, and you
Mm,
do get a little bit of a damsel in distress scene in here with the house where she escapes,
mm,
where you get kind of almost that them stealing from King Kong,
mm,
with the spider leering into the window before actually attacking the house.
mm.
And she goes running, but other than that one moment, you don't really get too many of the constantly the guy rescuing her. It is more of a group thing with this
Yeah.
film with them fighting the spider. I mean, even our doctor Matt Hastings isn't while he's kind of the brains that comes up with the plan and figures some things out, he's not the only one doing the work though. I mean, he gets the whole town in on trying to set up the dynamite, which was great. It doesn't do a damn thing.
Nope. uh, I was now see that's the one thing I didn't like is
Mhm.
like even if a giant spider attacked with dynamite is going to cause the vibrations, at least should knock him on his side or do
Right.
something. Not just not nothing happened at all. But but you're dealing with the times back then.
Hmm.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean they were just going showing how powerful it was, but yeah, it doesn't even flinch. And we do get it is a monster film, and you can tell they also were inspired by Godzilla because we have a couple of scenes where the spider's going after high tension wires.
Yes.
So there's that one scene when it's walking towards the high tension wires. I'm like, guys, you're just ripping Godzilla.
uh, I said, oh, there we go again. Uh, gotta get to the wires.
Got to get to the wires. Monsters, it might just be a mindless spider, but it knows, oh, I got to knock out this and I got to knock out this. So, it's what I love about these big monster films like this. You get that. Now, it is 55, though. So, like I said, it is a period piece. So, you may notice some cliches in here that aren't exactly positive. Like, even though we mentioned we have a strong female character in here, the our doctor still takes a dig at her, saying, "So what was it something along? We let them into the factories, and now they think they could do anything, or
Yeah,
something
yeah.
along that lines."
I said, oh man, the typical male chauvinistic line.
Hmm. Well, and then her character is, you could tell the writers didn't, they were afraid to write her too strongly because she said, "Oh, yeah, well, I'm going to go and study. And, where are you staying?" He goes, "And, oh, well, I'll be staying with the doctor. So, not only will I be studying, but I'll be cooking and cleaning." And I'm like, oh, Jesus. I'm like,
And you know what? I actually compared this to what I think her name is Nancy in Strength. You saw Stranger Things, right? Season
yeah.
three.
Hmm.
Yeah, I compare it to Nancy's role in Stranger Things 3, where she was an intern, and all the men, the chauvinistic pigs, all they had to do was to have their fetch coffee,
Yeah.
coffee. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I kind of felt sorry for her too, but I said, but that was during that time period too. It was still happening, even though that was in '85 when that took place, but you still had male chauvinistic pigs
Oh,
doing that.
you still got them now, but not as
Hmm.
many. But yeah, especially in 55, they couldn't let her just be an intern and
Hmm.
let her just be a scientist going for her doctorate. No, no, she'd also be cooking and cleaning for the doctor as well. I'm like, wow,
Hmm.
like, you guys had me going so well, and then you add that element, and I'm like, really? And she seemed fine with it. Like, oh yeah, that's just what I'm gonna do. And I'm like, man, girl, you don't have to, right? So, and then our law enforcement folks in here, um not exactly the crack law enforcement folks in here, but that's kind of a standard, isn't it, Lamont? Wouldn't you say that they always seem to paint law enforcement usually as kind of inept in many ways with these monster films?
Yeah, it's like I'm pretty sure even law enforcement back then were more apt to solve crimes. They weren't that stupid or that inept. Now, of course, now you're dealing with a giant monster, but come on now, they're not Barney Fife.
No, no, they're not Barney Fife, but the guy in here really, yeah, he got a kick out of the fact that the two scientists were kind of competing against each other. Oh, the doctor rubbed you the wrong way, did he? like, wow.
Oh man, I was like, is that the best you could do?
Or then you had the hotel guy who would constantly listen in on the doctor's conversation.
I said, man, this guy's just newsy.
He is. Oh, but speaking of the news guy,
Mm.
um,
You still there?
look in here with these small town report. Oh,
Uh-oh.
I'm still here. You there?
Yeah, I'm still. Wait a minute.
Did I
Give me a
lose
sec.
you?
No, I'm still here. Uh-oh.
Okay, I can hear you. You hear me?
Oh, okay, good, good. I thought maybe you lost me.
Oh no, we're still good. Um, what I was going to say was, oh, let me find my thought here for a minute. We were talking about the cops, and then the doctor, and that my idea just flew away. No, it just, it just petered away. So I don't know what I was going to say, but it's gone now. But yeah, the small town cops in here, um, it's just one of those things. Oh, the news guy. That's where I was going with that.
Mm-hmm.
The news guy, he wants to report the real news, and then you have them saying, "No, no, wait, don't tell the truth." Yet, uh, was that a bit surprising for you, Lamont? Did you kind of feel like, wait, was this made yesterday?
Well, even back then, you can't report something like that because one, you cause a panic,
Right.
and I can understood even back then. But then again, most people probably wouldn't believe it anyway. There's simply no one world that you would believe that there's a giant tarantula roaming around the desert.
Yeah, and the news guy was a trip because he's like, "Well, I'll believe it till I won't believe it till I see it." I'm like, "Never
Mm.
mind, you had the cops and everybody saying this thing is real." Well, no, I'm not gonna. And then he sees it's like, "Oh, you heard
Oh,
from well, alrighty then." But yeah, the characters in here, I mean, they're kind of your standard fare, but they're still fun, I think.
yeah.
But again, it's 50s too, so I'm just gonna put it out there now. Don't expect a diverse group of individuals in this film. You,
Yeah,
you,
you're not going to find that because one of the things I don't know. Did you saw the Scream the Scream season 3 TV show?
I did not yet. No, I have been
I
meaning
know.
to watch that,
I
but
won't spoil it for you. But the one good thing that I did like about that was it had a very diverse cast.
Mhm.
I know. But then again, in the '50s, you just was not going to have that.
No,
Not going to have that.
you did not have that in pretty much any of these monster films.
No.
it was it was square jaw, uh, white guys and ladies, and yeah, you didn't really get diverse cast back then. So, which is just the sign of the times. Which I think some of these older movies, people we recognize all their shortfalls and the mistakes they made and the stuff that was wrong with them, but people slam some of these things, and I'm like, you got to take it from the context of the times.
Yeah, I know, because that's what I tell people. People says, "Well, how come we don't see black people in the movies back in the '50s?" Well, look at the time it was filmed. You were lucky that you got a black man in a movie at all, let
Yeah,
alone being the lead. You
yeah.
know, So you just have to take a look at the time that those movies were made. It just wasn't possible at that time.
No, the opportunities weren't given
Mm.
to individuals for that. So you because it's just was a different time. That I don't think necessarily it makes the movie bad though, which I've seen people, oh, this movie was horrible. I'm like, you know, it still can be a good movie if you're recognizing and you're very aware of what's going on, but I think you could still consider it a decent movie, like I did with Tarantula. What do you think, Lamont? Do you think you'd still consider it a decent movie, even if it's got those shortcomings, just
Oh
because
yeah,
of?
yeah. If you look past the shortcomings and just look for what type of movie it is, it's
Mhm.
simply just a B movie horror picture that came out in the '50s, taking advantage of the success of Godzilla.
Yeah, and also playing off of the nuclear angle, which
Yeah, and playing off the nuclear. Although this one did not. I know rest of some of the others did. This one actually did not. It was just scientists trying to save the population by creating using gigantism as a
right.
way to help starvation.
Well, he did use radioactive isotopes, so we do have a little bit
A
of
little bit.
radiation going on here, but it wasn't because of a nuclear bomb testing. No, it was just
No.
radioactive isotopes. So we do get a
Mhm.
little bit of radiation in here because
Radiation, yeah. There's one aspect I forgot about this film that I saw when I resaw it as opposed to when I was a kid watching it. I don't think spiders roar. I mean, just as much as sharks don't have vocal cords,
Mhm.
and in Jaws: The Revenge,
Oh
when
God.
when
Oh.
when
Oh.
the
Oh. Here's the
that's a
therapy. Here's the therapy just went down the drain, Lamont. You had to bring that movie up. Oh.
because that's the first thing that came to my mind. I was like, wait a minute, I don't think spiders have vocal cords, so they can't roar. Just like sharks can't have vocal cords, so they can't roar. So when the guy's shocking with the shark, well, he's not going to go up and just make this stupid ass roar. So
Sounded
I
like
don't think I don't
sounded like
think
a He-Man monster, man.
I don't think he's going to roar. So I said they're doing a little bit uh, uh, exaggeration here, and I
Mhm.
get it. I think they just want to have the spider roar because God. But you expect God to the world because he's a monster,
Right.
But spiders don't have vocal cords, so they can't roar.
Yeah, I didn't quite understand the roar because in all honesty, I thought the scene had a little bit of tension and scariness for a 50s film, but still had it without the roar.
Yeah.
I almost would have liked it with where it would have been silent because one, it made sense, and two, just a little bit more creepy that this thing is silently munching on something.
Yeah. Yeah. You didn't need the roar.
Mm-mm. You didn't need the roar at all, though. I do wish we would have seen cocooned bodies, but we don't. We do get
Yeah.
some venom web, but we don't get any cocoons. Unfortunately, we do get bones, but
Mm.
some cocooning would be nice. And then, how did you think? This is a classic. This is one of the things I always find amusing about many, especially the monster and the B films, but how they just end. Movies now you get some elaborate confrontation with the monster or whatnot, and in this one, how do they dispatch of our gigantic spider?
Napalm.
Relatively quickly too. I mean, uh,
Yeah.
go by
Yeah. But
go ahead.
But that's what they did back then. I mean, in the Gila monster, they blew it up. We blew it up with dynamite.
Mhm.
And this one right here, they just napalm the shit out of it, and next thing you know, it's burning up, and that's the end of the movie. We don't get some a real battle between man and the monster. We just man is smarter than because this is my thing of it. It's just showing that this how man is smarter than nature, and
Mhm.
eventually man will always win. So even though we got this big ass spider getting ready to attack the town, we have enough weapons to kill it. So we just obviously the rockets didn't help, so we went a napalm and it just burned to death.
Yeah, they just torture, which is funny because I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. That's how you would want to take out this spider, but then you don't want to think too deeply going, wait, didn't the dynamite have fire? But we won't go there. We
No.
won't go. It had to be napalm. It couldn't just be standard dynamite. But I mean, the film just ends. You don't get any exposition. You don't get any, epilogue or anything. It just like, yep, it fired, it's torched, and
I mean, even with Godzilla King of the Monsters in the American version, you had the scientist use his secret weapon to strip Godzilla skin off his bones,
Right.
and then he kills himself. Spoiler alert for people who haven't seen that particular movie, and he kills himself, and that's the end of the movie. You
Yeah.
know, that's the end of the movie. Even though Godzilla comes back again, but but that's how they did with these movies back then. We always find a way to defeat the monster.
Yeah.
Unlike now in the days filmmakers, no, the monster's not dead, or
Hmm.
we really have to do something in order to kill the monster.
Or they.
Just like with Cloverfield. I mean,
Mhm.
as much as they bombed the crap out of New York, the monster still was alive.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Mm,
exactly. And then, or in some cases, where they do defeat the monster, it doesn't just end nowadays. You usually get some dialogue or some scene or something with the cast showing that how relieved they are that the
mm,
monster is done, and you get some dialogue. But I mean, but a lot of these older movies, not even the monster films, but their crime dramas, everything, it was like there's a resolution, we might get a one line closing and credits, there you go. It's, you don't get like three or four or eight endings or some dialogue afterwards. It's just like, nope, we're done. Uh,
nope, that's it. Finished, done. Put the end credits up.
yeah, which are short, which I
Yeah,
love. I'm like watching that going, oh man, back in the day when a credit sequence was like 20 seconds tops.
yeah,
Uh,
not 3 to 5 minutes.
3 to 5 minutes, yeah. Oh man, it's like, oh, what movie I saw? Oh, Spider-Man. Spider-Man had like a 5 minute end credit sequence. It's like, oh man, that's just crazy. But yeah, I mean, these films, they are a product of their times, but they're amusing. And this one, I think, is one of the better ones. I would say Tarantula, out of the monster films from this era, I think is
Mm,
one of the better ones. It doesn't quite follow some of the other formula, your characters in that,
mm,
but at the same time, you can tell with the themes in that running through it. It's definitely it's still from the 50s.
mm.
It's not exactly that progressive. Though it kind of surprised me when they sat there to go, oh, the dynamite didn't do it. And they went to the cops and they went, pull out the machine guns. And I'm like, wait, what?
Then of course the typical cliche that we even get in today's film: the car won't start.
Yeah, the car was running beautifully for the doctor, which
Yeah.
that whole sequence, so the dynamite fails and they're sitting there and I'm like, okay, but the doctor and Steve don't hop back into the car. They just came in. The
Hmm.
cops say, ride with our car. And I'm like, but they got a perfectly good car right there. No, no, we'll have the cops shoot them with machine guns and they can take off in their car. I'm like,
Hmm.
why
And
don't you
then
give them a cop car and let them take.
yeah, let Steve in the dock drive his own car.
Right. He knows how to start it. Apparently the cops didn't,
Hmm.
because this car that worked, no problem at all through the rest of the film suddenly doesn't start. Which again, that's one of those things where you could almost buy if they maybe set up something in the beginning with a little scene of him having trouble starting it, but it
Hmm.
doesn't. No, it's a good old solid, classic car. But now when the plot calls for it, well, we can't start it now. And and then we get Spider Vision when he kills people.
Hmm.
Which I thought was interesting. What'd you think about the point of view shot they do with the tarantula whenever he.
That was a nice touch. It's probably something that they didn't do back then, and I even when I saw it as a kid, I was like, wow, that's interesting. From the spider, I was assuming that's. I'm not really understanding that, but I've seen that that's obviously the spider attacking someone. But I actually thought that, of course, I laughed at it 'cause I thought it was
Oh,
funny.
oh yeah, I mean, it's
Uh,
it's still
but
hilarious.
it was interesting for them to use that aspect.
Mhm. Yeah, I thought it was interesting, and what I give him props for is they didn't do like a fly type vision, because he's got more than two eyes, to
Yes,
where you see like the multiple,
I,
multiple
I'm
images.
I'm thinking they did that because that's probably what they expect a fly sees,
Right.
out of his eyes because he has so many lenses in his
Yeah.
eyes. So that's probably how they did it in his eyes. To me, because when I with the original Fly, when I saw that, I'm like, wow, that looks funny.
It did. But with our spider, we don't get multiple vision. We just get the two, even though he's got more than two eyes. So, but yeah, I thought the point of view shot was kind of interesting way to put the audience in the spider's chair, so to
Mm,
speak. And that had to be kind of frightening back then, I would think.
mm-hmm.
Suddenly you're the killer. Wait, what? Yeah, I love these monster films, especially the 50s. I understand, all their shortcomings and shortfalls in writing and the misogyny and all that, but a lot of these are just fun ridiculousness that you give them props for trying something,
Oh
and
yeah, yeah, no, because that's what I loved about them, watching them as a kid when I first saw them, and I actually still love them now because that's what they were. They were just simply just. I mean, when you look at the slasher craze in the '80s
Mhm.
and how many of those pumped out, it's just simply just what they did back in the '50s. All they did was like, hey, this is what the audience wants, loves to see. Let's go ahead and pump these out.
Yeah, because you get it in either big named Hollywood or even in the B films. Even nowadays, whatever a film comes out that suddenly is hot,
Hmm.
everybody wants to capture that lightning in a bottle again. So you get one or two monster films in the 50s that are big. They're like, holy crap, we got to hop on this bandwagon.
Hmm.
80s, like you said, the slasher films. Holy crap, we've got to get out these slashers. People are eating this up. Or as we have it, and I'm not picking on the films you like, but the supernatural films that come out, Conjuring and Insidious, and that if you look at kind of what they launched, as well as Paranormal Activity, kind of what they launched as far as the trend. You get still today as a supernatural horror, though I think we're drifting a little bit away from it now, finally. And maybe we're coming a little back to the creature feature because we've seen Crawl, you got Godzilla out, which at its core, initially was a horror film, though this one was more of action. But I mean,
Hmm.
do you think, because I know you enjoy those films, do you think that the supernatural horror is just starting to kind of fade now? Because we also got Child's Play, which is now a robot rather than a possessed doll from Voodoo. I mean,
It all depends on what because because everyone kind of thought Annabelle was okay. It was what it was. Wasn't anything real major. It was better than the Nun.
yes.
Uh, it's better than the Nun.
I didn't fall asleep during Annabelle Comes Home. I nearly fell asleep 3 times during the Nun. So yeah.
Which is funny because Emma from Spooky Astronaut said she actually fell asleep during Annabelle, um, which I thought was funny. But I think once The Conjuring 3 comes out, I
Mhm.
think you'll see a much more rise in the supernatural. I don't think it's not going away
Right.
anytime soon. I think after the failure of The Curse of La Llorona and
Mhm.
whatever other supernatural films are going to be coming out this year, um, because there's some more supernatural films that are coming out based upon the trailers that I saw when I went to go see Crawl today. That
Right.
they're not going away, but I think what the writers and the producers are going to do, they're going to have to stop with these goddamn jump scares.
Oh
You
God,
know.
yeah. Yeah, jump scare the movie. It's like
Mhm.
the worst one I think still in the last 5 or 8, 10 years, the Gallows. The Gallows is I think one of the worst ones out of
Yeah, they are definitely as much as I like the idea, but
Mhm.
it was just executed wrong, and I hated the ending.
Yeah. And see
Hmm.
for me, I like the different horrors, like seeing people do something different. Midsummer, I think, is one of those type of horrors I like because there's not really much jump scares, but it is freaky.
I can't, yeah, I unfortunately have not seen that yet
Mhm.
because I don't think it's actually playing in Philly. But
Really?
I haven't seen it. I'm pretty sure it is. I just can't find it. I just can't find it. Probably because it's not a mainstream movie.
Sure.
So it's probably playing at some of those those theaters that show RT movies
Right. Yeah.
that I normally don't go to, and that's probably why I can't find it.
Probably. I mean, I was
Mm.
surprised our theater got it here. You know,
Hmm.
I was like, holy crap, wait, we're actually getting this? I don't have to drive 30 miles to go see this? Really? So yeah, but yeah, it's interesting the trends in horror, whatever the hot trend is or what movie takes off.
Hmm.
And it's also, I mean, it was mentioned during the creepy channel crawl as well, and we talked about it a bit too, that studios are going to keep cranking out horror films, the wide release ones. Not necessarily good ones, but they're going to be cranking them out because they're cheap to make.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Compared,
Come on, yeah, because the
compared to your
crawl only costs
superhero.
like 50. The crawl only costs like 15 million to make,
Yeah, that's
and
like
that
chump
and
change.
that's chump change. As far as what movie costs are concerned nowadays. You
Yeah,
know.
I mean that's like the catering bill for Infinity War. It's
Hmm.
15 mil. That's how much they spent on food for crying out loud. And here you make a whole movie, and then not only that, us horror fans, let's face it, as much as many of them out on the internet complain and bitch and moan, your ass is still going to be in the theater. You're still going to be
Hmm.
sitting and watching it. You're still going to
Yeah, I say
pay the
you can
attention.
just as much as the Charlie Ray. Get my words get the Don Amini and the Brad Dourif fans were bitching and moaning about this new Child's Play. They still went to go see it, and most of them actually were surprised that they liked it.
Hmm. But,
Mm-hmm.
and in the end, they don't realize it doesn't really matter
Mm-mm.
after you see the movie whether or not you liked it because they got your money either way.
Yeah.
I mean, Texas Chainsaw, for crying out loud, that piece of crap. Um, and it was. It made like its budget back opening weekend because we all flocked to the theater to see it. It was a Texas Chainsaw movie, so we go to see it on the big screen. It was crap,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't matter because they made their bank back. you
Oh
know,
yeah, because it's whatever depending upon it depending upon how wide release is and how many theaters a movie studio is going to release it at. Most of the time, some of these bad horror movies are at least going to make some bit of a profit back, whether it's going to be at the box office or if it gets released on DVD or Blu-ray.
oh yeah, especially the rental market for sure.
Mm.
And with this one, I mean, bringing back to the 50s, for Tarantula, all these monster films and that, yeah, they kind of look hokey, they kind of look cheap. That's because it was the same kind of thing. Was they're making these cheap monster films because people are going to go see them, and
Yeah,
then they still made some money back. So
and this was even before Ray Harryhausen got into the game.
yeah. I mean, this is and when Ray grew in popularity, holy crap, those movies, man.
Mm.
I'll watch any Ray Harryhausen
Yeah,
film.
yeah, so do I. Yeah, because one of the things I always will compare is the two Clash of the Champion movies. I mean, not Clash
The
of the Champion,
Titans,
Clash of the Titans.
yeah.
The one that starred Harry Hamilton, and then
Mhm.
you have the one with Sam Worthington, and those are vastly different films. Always will pay more homage to the original than the remake because the remake, I don't know what it is with Sam Worthington, but the guy can't act.
he I don't know if it's just the roles that he picks or what, but he's just kind of there.
Mm-hmm.
He's he's just one of those that's just kind of there. And oh yeah, if I have my choice between the two, I'm taking the original Clash of Titans every day of the week. I've got the soundtrack on vinyl, and that's just
I mean, yeah, it was just a more fun film for me
Mhm,
as opposed to the remake. I mean,
yeah,
I love the Scorpions. That was
mhm,
the only best good thing I liked out of the remake was the Scorpions. I thought the design was good. I thought they were a huge threat. I liked the interactions, and the fight scenes between the guys and the
mhm.
Scorpions. That was interesting. But that was the only good thing I liked about
Yeah.
the remake.
Yeah, that was an impressive battle. Actually, for the hell of it, I took the original footage of Clash of the Titans and I edited it over the audio from the remake trailer. And so I made a remake, a version of the trailer with the remake audio, but with all the visuals from the original Titans. Uh, and that was kind of fun to make. But yeah, it's one of those things where these types of films we're going to be getting still horror films, which isn't a good thing because you always get a gem out of the crap. Tarantula, I think, is one of the higher point monster films, and yeah. Besides Tarantula and Godzilla and that, Lamont, would there be another monster film that you'd recommend?
Um, I would say what's that? What's one of the monster films? Probably the Deadly Menace.
Oh yeah, okay,
Um, um, they mentioned this. I think what did Andrew say? The Tingler.
yeah, The Tingler.
Yeah, definitely the Tingler. And let's see what other monster movies. There's one. It doesn't come to mind. I know it'll come to me in the tip of my tongue, but I can't remember it right now. Right now, but yeah, but definitely the Deadly Menace.
Hmm.
Um, oh yeah, Attack of the Snow Crabs.
There you
Definitely
go.
watch that one. Yeah.
All great stuff. And for me, the film that I enjoyed, I mentioned it on the creepy channel crawl, and I'll plug it again just because I can't talk about it enough. Is Them? We did an episode on it.
Oh yeah, them. Yeah,
It
them.
came out
Yes.
just the year before Tarantula.
Hmm.
Them is also a great one. So there you have it, folks. Hope that wet your whistle for some '50s monster films. I think we're going to wrap it up tonight. And with that, this is the point where I give our good guest, our wonderful crew member Lamont, license to shill. So go ahead, sir. Please tell us where we can find your stuff at.
You can find me on YouTube. I believe the link is youtube.com / The Rock 0829. I think that's linked to my channel.
Mhm.
I just, like I said, you should see my review of Crawl Up. I should have a trailer reaction, if I could find it, to a new movie called The Hunt. It was a
Oh
trailer
yeah,
I saw on when I watched Crawl, and I thought it was an interesting premise. If I could find it, I will have a trailer reaction up, hopefully by tomorrow night.
cool. Well,
Hmm.
look forward to that, folks. Some great stuff. Make sure you check out. You heard us talk about it through the episode. I can't emphasize it enough because it was a lot of fun. The Creepy Channel Crawl 2019. They are planning already on doing another one next year, which should be fun.
Yep.
And there might just be silly enough to have me back on it. So, uh, but I thank you so much, Lamont, for your time. And we'll just say good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
And we're done.
All right, good,
Awesome.
good.
Well,
So that
thank you,
was good.
sir. That was
That was
good.
good. I always love talking old school horror with you, Mark.
Oh, well, thank you, sir. I don't think enough people talk about it, so I appreciate you taking the time to do it. So
No, not a problem. Always here.
awesome. Well, you have yourself a good day, sir.
All right, you too, Mark.
Out.